All right. So thank you so much for your patience this morning. We are just going to stick with the live Zoom workshop. This will be recorded. If you missed last week's, we have already shared the recording to the YouTube channel. Last week's focus was on custom shapes. Before that, we had done tiling. And today we are going to dive a little bit deeper into how to style your maps and thicken your roads. So these are probably some samples you've seen before, but look how thin my major roads are on this layer. And then I created another one for the K and G Jamboree, and then I thickened them up significantly because I didn't want anyone to handle these and break them. And then for last week's, I made another one where the gray areas, I kind of like this because some areas are a little thicker, but for the most part, they are pretty thin. But I love the way these are coming out. But a lot of people, they'll just run with the template. They'll scale things up or down, and they're like, my roads are too thin. So how do I know which ones to thicken up? How do I identify it? What are all these features in the layers panel? So I was like, let's just make a workshop out of it. So in the chat, if you guys have been great with saying good morning and telling me where you're from, that is amazing. Even Canada. That's amazing. So people all over the country, all over the world, this is really cool. But in the chat, just let me know, have you created a map before? Like how many people in here are new? I see a lot of familiar faces. So I'm just curious, like how many people in here are new? Maybe you can say brand new in the chat, and some people who have created a map before. Maybe you're just here to learn a little extra or just be part of the workshop because you never know what's gonna pop up. And also you're keeping me great company, so thank you so much. All right, we got some brand new ones people have created before. I've completed a couple. One map. Okay, so I am actually just going to go ahead and share my screen. Beep, 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 beep. Share screen one. Okay, move this over here. Okay, can you see my Maker Studio screen? Because I just see my face right now. Your participation is very much needed in these workshops. So thank you so much for confirming you see the Maker Studio screen. If you can see me, I might just be like a little bubble in the top right corner. But my name is Amanda. I am with Maker Studio to help you guys with all things educational. So my role here is purely to ensure your success with using the software. So whether it is your very first time using Layered Map Maker, formerly known as Laser Map Maker, that is fine. This workshop is going to give you everything you need to create a map from start to finish. So I'll show you guys how to choose your location, how to adjust your map. We're going to dive in how to style and thicken some of those roads. I will show you how to export those files and get them set up for your laser software. So some of you guys might be using a software like Lightburn. That is what I will be showcasing today. Some of you guys might be building in the Xtool Studio. If you have Xtool, you can go into the apps and you can actually work with Layered Map Maker right in Xtool so that instead of exporting your files and then bringing them back in, when you're done creating your map and you've exported, when you've generated those files, you just click the button that says open in Xtool, and then you can just edit everything you need right in there. So maybe just let me know what you're using. Are you working with Lightburn? Are you working with Xtool? Are you designing in Illustrator and then bringing it into your laser software? I'm not sure. Yeah, so it's really cool. Xtool is integrated. Lightburn has some really neat features as well. But I will be using Lightburn for the sake of today's workshop. So the new site, the new brand, if you haven't heard, we have rebranded. So you can just go to maker.studio and it will bring you to the main page. And you can get to the app in a few ways. You can just click on apps at the top and choose layered map maker, or if you are logged in, it will just say go to app. Now, this may change in the future because, as you may have heard, Maker Studio is becoming a suite of creative apps so that you guys can generate your files very quickly. And if you want to take a look at the apps that are coming, so Layered Maps is the one that is currently live. That's what I'm going to be showcasing today. But if you have a CNC router or you have a 3D printer, you may be very interested in the 3D maps option that is coming out. And then, not related to maps at all, we are going to have what's called a tumbler maker. So you are going to be able to essentially select your cup within the studio, create your design, get full 360 previews, and get your files very quickly. And it's all measured accurately for you. But this is just the beginning, but you can at least sign up for notifications for 3D Maps or Tumblr Maker when that is live. You'll be the first to know. So let's go ahead and get into our apps. And this is what I call my project dashboard. So if you are completely new to this, you will likely just see the welcome graphic across your screen, and you're going to have to click new project. I have projects in here. Even if you have a free account, like if you're not sure if this is right for you, if you don't want to subscribe yet, that's totally fine. Just get yourself a login and you can still build an infinite amount of projects in here. So as soon as you have a free login, you have complete access to the software. The second cool thing about what we offer our new creators is that in addition to just creating a free login and building as many new projects as you want, if you are ready to actually export those files so you can physically create something, you get 3 free exports every 30 days, even without a subscription. So the map that I'm going to show you today is going to be 3 map layer exports. So even if you don't have a subscription, you could absolutely get off this call and create your first map if you want to. If you haven't created a map before and you want to play around with setting up a new project, but you still have questions before you use your export, that would be a great time to book a demo, and you can do that right here. So this isn't on the maker.studio landing page, but once you are logged in, you can click on book a demo. It will take you to my calendar. You can click on the about tab. You will see the team. There's some demo links as well, for myself and for Elias. Yes, it is amazing. You can log in and get to creating right away. I like that is kind of a mind-blowing thing to me. And I'm like, more people need to know about this because they're like, oh, I'm not really, maps are cool, but I'm not sure if I should subscribe. I'm like, you don't have to. Just get in there. Just start creating something. See if you like it. See if it's good for you. See if there's a demand for any kind of map making things if you own a business. Some people just use this as a hobby. Some people are just making gifts, but there is no barrier to you getting in here and creating something. So between a free account, the 3 exports, access to the team for demos, being able to join workshops like this, like our goal and my role here is truly just to ensure that you guys feel comfortable using the software. So I want to show you guys just how easy it is to start a project. Does anyone remember the location we were featuring for today's workshop? And does anyone know why I picked that location? Even more importantly, I'm got Grapevine. Yes, that's the correct city. I'm waiting for it. What's happening in Grapevine? Grapevine is in Texas. Da, 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 da. I'm just gonna tell you. So if you haven't heard because you wanted to, Tammy, yes, thank you so much. I love seeing your smile too. Okay, so coming up at the end of August is the Next Level Maker Conference. And Mark and Will host this every year. This is going to be their fifth year doing it. And it is going to be in Grapevine, Texas at the Gaylord Texan Resort. And it was located there. It was at that location last year. I wasn't at last year's conference, but I will be at this year's conference. So I'm like, I am going to do something for Grapevine, Texas. So when you start a new location, all you have to do is start typing in the search bar. It's going to populate some options for you. I know it's Grapevine, Texas. This is where I want to be. So because I have selected my location, it automatically plugs in my project name for me, so I don't have to type if I don't want to. But I can also refine it. And I think for this one, I'll probably put Grapevine next level, maybe. And for the sake of today's workshop, I'm also going to be showcasing how to use the basic city map template. You guys are absolutely free to build a map from scratch, but if you are newer to this, I highly recommend you just start with a basic city map because this is going to give you your water, your land, and your roads already preloaded, ready to go. All right, so we've chosen our location. It's going to bring me to a particular area. I'm just going to start zooming in and zooming out so that you guys can see what happens. So I'm going to zoom way, way out. Notice how I only have really thick road lines and there's a lot of them. And then I start to zoom in and then I see some of these finer black lines. So one thing I want you guys to realize is see how I zoomed all the way in and those thinner lines became thick. So depending on your zoom level, what you're seeing may change. The data that you have access to may change. So I'm going to zoom out to this. So I have some thicker major road lines and some thinner minor road lines. So I will just say, I did have to look this up in Google just to make sure my location was correct. But if I wanted, because I just typed in a city, I didn't type in this location, but let's say I wanted to move this and refine my location. If I didn't type in a location at the beginning, I can easily click this magnifying glass and I can search for something here. And I believe Gaylord Texan Resort. Okay, so I'm actually typing in the resort now. It's going to plug me. Look at this. It's right here. So if I specifically wanted to focus on this resort, I could just type that into the search bar. If I just wanted the city, I can type in the city. But you can search as many locations as you want here. Once you're in the studio, you can kind of jump around to different locations. If you want to get the exact coordinates, you can also pull it right from there. If you noticed earlier in the one I did for, oh boy, the K&G Jamboree, we called our workshop camp coordinates. So I was like, I can't not put the coordinates on there. So you can get some data right from the studio and use that for your project. Another thing when you're looking for your location, so in addition to this search tool, another thing that might help you pinpoint your location is this satellite overlay here. Oh, I do see some people are waiting to join. Late joiners. Okay, so there is a satellite overlay. So if you wanted to turn this all the way up, you can use the satellite overlay to give you a better idea of what building you're looking for. So this is actually the resort that Next Level Maker Conference is taking place at. And one of the things that they are known for at this event, yes, you can type in a home address, Ron. One of the things that they're known for at this conference, which I really love the concept, is pin trading. So has anyone been to the Next Level conference before and traded pins? It is so much fun. So what I decided to do was make a pin. This is the cutest little map I've ever made. It's so adorable. It is a little over an inch wide, but this is 3 layers. So I have my solid water. I have wood in the middle as my land, and then I have 1/16 inch black acrylic. Let's see how close I can get to this camera. But look at the details. So I am on a kick to make some location pins. These are SVG files. SVG stands for scalable vector graphic. You can scale it way, way down. You can scale it way, way up, as big as your laser is. So the Next Level Maker Conference is coming up in August. Grapevine, Texas has beautiful land and waterways, and they do pin trading. So for each of these workshops, I'm going to find an excuse to create a map, and I'm hoping this will help inspire you to come up with an excuse to make a map of your own. So now that I have figured out this is where I want to be, I'm actually going to turn my satellite layer all the way down to 0. And I want to explain what you're seeing on your screen, as well as the 3 layers on the side. It is morning time, so I'm going to have a little coffee sip, if you don't mind. Yeah. Okay. So we have 3 colors on our screen. We have water being white, our land is gray, and our roads are black. So I actually want to capture a little bit more of this area. So I'm going to zoom out. I love these natural waterways here. So if you're in an area that has these kind of like, I'll call them veiny or finger-like looking lakes, they are gorgeous. They look amazing on maps. So I think I was trying to capture something like that. So I had thicker major roads and I had thinner minor roads. So does anyone know why we use white for water and why color is important in the studio? So we use a color tracing technology to vectorize your files, basically. White just means no data. So anywhere we're using white, nothing is going to be produced. That part is either, if it's set to cut, that part is going to get cut away. So if you can imagine that white area being cut away from our land, that's going to be cut out and be negative space. If you take a look at the land engrave layer, I'm going to break these layers down for you one by one so you can see why we use white and where. But if I hide my major roads layer, so these are stacked in the order that they're going to be put on top of each other, I'm actually going to look at my roads cut and I want to hide it so I can click on these 3 dots and hide this layer. So now I'm looking at the layer below it. Does anyone notice that the border for this layer is white? It's not black. So the layer we're looking at right now is our land engrave. We want to engrave these little black roads on top of our land layer, but we don't want our roads to be connected to a border, and we certainly do not want to waste our time engraving that border. It's not needed, and it's just going to get covered up with our major roads layer right here. So I'm going to hide it again. Oh, I unhid it and then hit it. Okay, so we use white here so that when we go to stack this minor road data on top of our land, that border is non-existent. So white means no data. Each layer, other than white, should only have one color. So I'm going to go ahead and hide this layer next. Okay, so now we're just looking at the land layer. Imagine you're going to cut your land out of wood. It's the easiest example for me to provide. So this border, it's very important that your border does match the color of your data because when you're tracing it, you want it all to be connected. What would happen if my border what if I changed the color of something and now they're mismatched? If we use a color tracing technology to vectorize your files, but I change the color of my border, so I'll just show you how I do that because that is the feature of today's workshop. I guess if a waterway has an island and we want to keep the island and we have to make sure we save the cutout and glue it to the water, yes, you do. So I'm just going to show you. I have a little blip right here. So this is Warren, Rhode Island. And I did have this one straggler on its own. It was a little island. So yes, you just have to be mindful of what pieces you do want to get lost and gone, negative, and what pieces of land you actually need to save. Sometimes islands become so tiny that in Lightburn, I change those little guys to engrave on my water. I don't even bother with trying to save those little bits or figure out how to do it. You can get crafty with what you cut and what you engrave. All right, so how are we feeling so far with getting into layered maps by Maker Studio, starting a new project, finding your location? That's all we've done so far. I have some stragglers coming in. Okay, you guys are feeling good? Normally, we don't go too deep into the layers panel and styling because this is a beginner workshop, and the goal is just to show you how quick and easy it is to generate your files. So before I go too deep into these settings, I'm going to bring everything back. We're going to imagine that we just started this project. So first I typed in Grapevine. It took me to like this area. Then I typed in the actual resort, which is on this little chunk here. And I decided this is about where I want my map to be center. If I like this, I can just click on Preview Export right now. I'm going to show you what the process looks like. And it's going to take me to a preview screen where I can see what these files look like individually and what they look like stacked together. You can visit the preview export screen as many times as you want during the build of your map. This has nothing to do with actually exporting them. So in my preview screen, another one of the great benefits of utilizing the basic city map template is that not only are your water, land, and road data layers preloaded, but everything you see on the left side of my screen has also been set up and pre-selected for you. So you don't need to mess with the settings on the summary screen, but I will explain it to you. So first, visually, we have our individual vector file thumbnails at the bottom. This is my land. These are the details I'm going to engrave on my land. So they are two separate sets of data, but this is going to happen on one sheet of material. I thought I had something close by, but I don't. All right, so we have our land layer, and it's going to cut around everywhere you see gray. So because of this border, all of my land pieces are going to stay together as long as they're attached to the border. So someone asked earlier, what happens if you have a little island? When this little guy cuts out, you just need to save it and glue it to your water layer. Where is our water layer? Does anyone see it? Did we make it? Why in the world is it called a land/water cut? If my water is getting cut away, where does my water come from? Great question. So I'm going to let you think about that for a moment. Plain backer. Okay. You didn't have to think too long about it. I'm so proud of you. Oh, just to clarify, we need to set our border to the same color as the land. Yes. But when you're using the basic city map template, like I said, you don't have to think about any of this. All we did was open up Maker Studio, get into our layered maps, started a new project, chose our location, adjusted the name, chose the basic city map template. We refined the position of our map, and we're already in our preview export screen. If I like the way all of these layers look, so here's my land with my water cut out. Here are the details that are going to be engraved on the land. And then here are the roads, the major roads that are going to sit on top. Now, there's a lot of stuff happening over here, but if you recall, I can go in and I can edit things. I can see if there are roads I want to delete, and that's what we're going to kind of go through together in today's session. Today's session is all about styling and using the toggle inspect mode. So I will make sure we get to that. Okay, and I know some of you guys joined late. Thank you so much for joining us. We had a slight hiccup with the Facebook connection, so we're just going to stick with the Zoom today. This will be recorded. So just like the last one was uploaded to the YouTube channel, the goal is to do that with this one as well. So if you recall, earlier I showed a little example of what I made. So this is over an inch wide And this is of Grapevine, Texas, and I chose to make it the size of a pin because at the Next Level Maker Conference, which is happening in Grapevine, Texas, pin trading is a big thing. So this is my example, and you'll notice what we're looking at the screen. It is a square-shaped map. So in addition to showing you guys how to style and edit your map in a moment, I'm also gonna do a little refresher on the custom shapes option that we have as well. So I'm gonna show you how I change this into a heart. And when I do change it into a heart, all of these little extra roads are going to be irrelevant. They will not be a part of my design. But if they were, I can show you how to find them and how to either delete them or edit them so that they work for your project. How are we doing now? So we got into the studio, got our map, we're in the export screen. I could just click next, or I can click the tabs at the top. When you are working with a square or a rectangular map, you can easily tile your project. All you have to do is click enable and bam, all of your maps are sectioned into perfectly even tiles, and you can adjust your columns here to whatever you want. I love this. I'm starting to love today's workshop because I feel like it's kind of it's encapsulating all of the things we've been teaching over the last 3 workshops. But one of the tiling workshops that we did, I was like, let's make a map into a set of coasters. So one fun thing I will share with you guys is that you notice how even though it splits it up into multiple parts, it's still within the same thumbnail for each layer. So we didn't really talk about how the subscription works. How do you export them? What does it cost you? So I'm going to click on my export screen. And right now it shows I need 3 map layer exports to generate these files for myself. I need 1 layer export to get my land, 1 layer export to get my engraved details on my land, and 1 map layer export to get my major roads. So however many layers I'm setting up in my project, each of those layers represents an export, formerly known as credits, but they're exports. Whether I have 30 tiled pieces on my project or just the one, notice my map layer exports does not change at all. So the really awesome thing about tiling is it also does not require any more exports. You literally just click a button, you put how many rows, how many columns do you want, and then you can go to export your files. So our file is ready to export. If you're just creating a basic city map with your water, your land, and your roads, it's very easy to do. You could do it in 5 minutes. It is that simple. But what I've noticed is, we're doing a lot of beginner workshops and people are like, okay, do you do any more advanced stuff? And I'm like, before we get into what you may consider advanced, I want to make sure you're super comfortable with all of the tools and the capabilities and you understand what's happening in each layer, how that translates into export credits. So that is why I have been starting like themed workshops. So we've done tiling, we've done custom shapes. Today we're doing styling with the toggle inspect mode. You're a beginner's beginner. Amazing. So that's it. That's all you need to do. Go into the studio, choose your location, use the basic city map template, reposition it, and then you're done. Export your files, get them ready in Lightburn or Xtool, and you are ready to start cutting and engraving. But what if I want to do more fancy things? I'm actually going to exit my preview. I'm going to get back into the studio, and I'm going to show you how I changed my map shape. So the tools are here on the right. I think this is about where I had it centered. So I'm going to click on this tool here that shows map shapes. And I went with a heart, but you could easily choose another geometric shape. If you are getting ready for the holidays, you have access to a series of holiday shapes. So you could do one location and it would be a different set of exports each time. But let's say you love this location and you're doing a vendor event in this area and you want to have a bunch of different shapes. You can easily change your shape, re-export your map. Come back into the studio, change your shape, re-export your map. Now, each time you change the shape and you export it, that becomes your current project. I would like to show you guys in the dashboard. I am going to jump out of this project, but I promise I'll come back. I don't want to lose you guys, but stick with me. All right, so I'm going to go back to my project dashboard as if this were completely new. Let's say I have my map set up perfectly the way that I want it, and I want that to kind of be my master file. You can actually see here for this one, I put template, hat engrave style. So you can use this as your baseline. You can click the three dots, you can rename it. You can click the three dots and you can duplicate this project. So all the styling, see how it just created a second one? So I can rename my second one to whatever I want, but let's just say this is proof 2, or maybe it's shape 2 or something like that. As soon as you have all of your stylings figured out, your zoom level figured out, the features you want there or the features you don't want there, as soon as you love your map, if you want to create a cohesive style for your business, let's say you're adding this as a product line, this is the best way to have a consistent look across your maps. And all you have to do is change the location for where you're going to be or what your customer is looking for. So once you've defined a style for yourself, you can just easily duplicate the project, change the location, and boom, you're ready to export. So we want it to be fast and efficient and simple. We want it to be a breeze for you. The whole goal behind Maker Studio is that it's actually on their homepage. We want you to stop spending so much time designing and we want you to create. Like, I don't know about you, but there are times where I'm working on a design and it's hours, if not days later. And I'm like, I wish this were simpler. So when it comes to maps, that is exactly what Layered Map Maker does. It makes this whole process very simple for you. And what I just showed you is a way to simply duplicate your project so that you can create a new proof or a new location and keep your consistency without affecting your original file. Okay, so this is what happens when I want to delete it. I know I don't need this. So when I go to delete a project, it makes me type it in because sometimes we can get a little click happy. But I do want to delete that proof too. I don't need it. And now I want to go back into the project I was just working on. So you notice how these look a little bit different? They don't look like this default New York like these do. If I don't actually export files from that project, you're just going to see the default New York screen every time. So I don't want that to confuse you. That's just kind of the default screen. It will change once you've actually exported your files. And if you take a look, this is what I created. This was my beautiful little pin. But this is me starting a new project with you guys. Another thing I want to show you is, let's say I did export this file. Let's say I exported it multiple times. Whenever you export your files, it will generate a history here for you. So you can access your exported files at any time. So let's jump back into the studio. Let's get our heart shape back. And I wanted to capture a nice chunk of everything. I don't know if that little island was in there. So it's probably something like this. I wanted to capture this beautiful windy road. I wanted to capture these two pieces of the lake. So I think this is about where I positioned it. But I'm saying these things out loud so you know what I'm looking for in my map. I'm looking for unique features. Sometimes I'm looking for symmetry. Sometimes I like a nice yin and yang look where I have like water to one side and land on the other. Any plans to provide Canadian provinces, territories as map shapes? We would love to do that for everything, every country. As of right now, we do have states for the US loaded. I know we've also gotten a lot of suggestions for county lines. So that is in the works, but it is something that just has to be built. And if you guys are familiar with our brand, whether it was Laser Map Maker or you're new to Layered Map Maker, we are working very, very hard on bathymetry. So bathymetry is a huge project. We did have the rebrand as well. But all of your feedback is very, very valuable. So keep sharing what you want to see. It just gets put on like a production list. We just don't have dates tied to that production list yet, but all the feedback is super duper helpful. Okay, so I have my custom map shape. Let's go through a few things here. So now that I have found my location, I actually don't want to move it anymore. So there is what's called a lock mode, a toggle lock mode. So I'm going to turn it on and you'll notice it grays out a couple of options. As soon as you lock the positioning of your map, I can't, going back to being click happy, I can't move this map at all. I'm trying, but it's not going anywhere. So if you are very particular about the area you want, please make sure you lock it. Once you start messing with settings or zooming in, zooming out, it's going to affect the way your map potentially looks. So once you lock it, there's only so many things you can do after that. I'm going to unlock it so we can go through the rest of these tools. We will be focusing on the toggle inspect mode today, and we will be focusing on how to style these areas. So I'll come back to that one last. Zoom, I just use the little wheel on my mouse, but you could also use these different zoom buttons. Going back to what I said earlier about creating a cohesive look with all of your maps, one of the ways you can do that is by having a preset zoom level for all of the locations that you do. So if you find that 12 is your ideal zoom level, or 12.5 or 13, you can utilize this number here to create a cohesive look across all of your maps. But for me, I just do it manually for now. I just zoom in and zoom out. You said this was accessible in Xtool. If you have time, can you give a quick comment on where it is? It is in the apps button. I personally do not have Xtool, but I know there are some guests in here who use it all the time. So maybe they can point you in the right direction. But once you're in the Xtool Studio, there's a button on the left side, I believe, that says Apps, and that is where you go to look for your Map Maker app. I do not know if they've updated the name, so maybe you guys can share that with me. It may still be called Laser Map Maker. It is in the apps on the very bottom. Thank you, Ian. Thank you, Wayne. Oh, it's called Map Designer. Got me. All right, so yes, hopefully that's good. You found it. I'm happy. Now you can get to creating maps right in the Xtool Studio, and that's going to speed up your process so much. Okay, next tool is rotate. So some of the shapes that you utilize, you may find yourself wanting to rotate your map. You can't rotate, let's say I stick with this heart. I can't rotate the heart, but if I want to change the way the map looks in the heart, I could easily just rotate it a little bit, but it's going to rotate the map, not the shape. All right, so maybe the rotate tool is good for you. Another thing, so earlier when I showed you guys how zooming in and zooming out affects your data, there is a way, if I wanted to capture, let's say I wanted to capture like both of these lakes, but I'm like, hey, where did all my little roads go? I have to zoom in. What level is this? I have to zoom in to like 11, but any further than that, and I lose all those tiny little roads. So the workaround for that, there's a tool for that. It's called your map scale. And you can click on map scale, and it does have a range. It's from 100% to 200%, so it does get capped. And all you have to do to retain those little features is start dialing it up. I'm going to stop here because it's loading a lot of data, and I think last time I might have crashed it a little bit. But let's say you want to capture some larger lakes, but you want to keep all of that data. Instead of zooming out, you are actually going to increase your map scale. So this isn't going to be needed for all of your projects, but it is a very handy tool if you're trying to capture a larger area and still have data on each of those layers. Okay. And the last thing I want to share with you before we get into toggle, inspect, and style is how we size our maps. So I moved my location. I'm just going to get back into it. Here's my resort. And I think it was like this. Is there a way to have different scale level for different layers? The reason I'm asking is I want my detailed road engravings, but not necessary for land water layers. So in that case, you're capturing data within a certain area. So if you increase your map scale, it's going to apply that to your entire project. If you wanted to isolate certain things or delete it, but you want to retain it for other layers, you may just have to manually edit that in your design software after the fact. So I'm in Florida. There are a lot of areas that have teeny tiny pockets of water everywhere. But if I am zoomed out, or if I've used my map scale to zoom out and I'm not trying to cut and deal with all those tiny little pockets of water, I find them unnecessary for the look I am going for. I will actually just delete those points so it doesn't cut out the water holes. So there is the layered map maker studio side of things where you are building your files. And then there is your ability to edit it in a design software after the fact. So you can edit tiny little water pockets. You can add custom shapes. You can create a frame, add text. There are a lot of things that you can do after you have generated your map files, and that might have to be your workaround for this situation. That's exactly what I would do. Okay. So you guys feeling good? Got any questions? I think, let's see. Steven, I love your background. It's very Florida. I love seeing your faces. I'm just for those of you who have your camera on, I want to make sure I see your faces and say hello. Canada. I'm in Florida. All right, so I think it's just time for sizing. I'm going to go back to my square rectangle. I'm going to hide my layers panel. If you feel like the layers panel is obstructing your view, you can just hide it. So I'm going to go into my map shape here. And you'll notice we use what's called aspect ratios. So I can click on the pre-selected aspect ratios. I can use this button in the center if I want it to be portrait mode instead of landscape mode. But how does that help you for your project if you're trying to make something with specific dimensions? What if you have a blank frame and you want to make a map fit your frame perfectly? So if I have, let's say 8 by 10, and I'm talking in inches, but notice there are no units of measurements here. So there are no units of measurement, but if I'm trying to create something that will be 8 inches by 10 inches, I could just type those numbers in there. If you're speaking in centimeters or millimeters, whatever your units of measurements are, it's not relevant at this stage, but you can easily type in your numbers, and then I'll show you how we adjust that in Lightburn. All right, so I'm going to stick with a 1-to-1 ratio. One thing I actually have not tried, I'm just going to try it with you live. I'm going to choose the heart and change my aspect ratio. Okay, so when you have certain shapes, you can only adjust the size of it. But it's also it's very similar to zooming in and zooming out, but instead of having the aspect ratio where you type in a particular dimension, You just change 8:10 is the aspect ratio. Yes. But I just don't want to confuse people that they have to choose a pre-selected one. Let me go back into my square. You don't have to choose a pre-selected one. You can just type in the numbers of what you're working with and you can deal with the actual dimensions in your design software. So even though I might type in 8:10 into the aspect ratio here, you'll notice when we export this file, we're not actually going to export this file. We're going to stick with a heart shape. But if I were to export this file, it's not going to be 8:10 inches. The software doesn't know that. It's creating an SVG that you can then scale to an 8:10 perfectly, but it may come in as like a 17 by whatever. So you just have to know that this may need to be scaled up or down once you're in your design software. And I love that you guys are helping each other in the chat. That's great. And Wayne, it's okay. I'm so happy that you made it and you're here. All right, so let's go back to our heart shape. This is the area we want. Now, for the fun stuff, we're going to use our aspect ratio tool. So our toggle inspect tool. So all I did was click this button, the third button down. If you hover over each of these tools, it will tell you what they are. So we're going to use the toggle inspect mode. And when you turn this on, I'm also going to lock my map. When you turn this on, you can just hover over certain parts of the roads and you can see what data set you're looking at. All I did was hover over it. It made it green. And if you look at the very bottom of my screen, it also tells me what data set I'm looking at. Where do these data sets live? So this is where the layers and the features come into play. The basic city map template has this all done for you. Everything has already been loaded in here. If you were to create a map from a blank, I think it's called blank template, but if you started a map from scratch, you would build each of these layers. You would also build each layer with these features selected. The basic city map does all of this for you, but I'm going to show you how you can edit them if you're trying to thicken certain roads or delete certain roads. Why did the road layer turn green, but the border remained black? So toggle inspect, we're just imagine you're a detective right now. The toggle inspect tool is going to be the way you inspect things in your map. We are not editing the colors of our map. We're not changing colors of anything. We are simply hovering over them, and the color is going to help us identify what we're looking at. I'm just hovering over pieces of data. And when I hover over different pieces of data, different colors are starting to appear. So nothing should change with my map setup. My land, my roads. See how I'm not hovering over it now, but my roads are still black? This is what my map will be vectorized as, but when I hover over it and it turns colors, it's just because I'm inspecting different pieces. Okay. One new. Okay. So another thing is, what happens when I click it? Why did I expand all of these pieces of data? Because I want to show you that on my roads cut layer, even though it looks like one set of data, it's actually multiple sets of data coming together to create this layer. So some of them might be green. You'll notice there's a little gray strip here. Let's hover over it. This little gray strip, you'd imagine it's bridges. So if I turn my bridges off, that chunk of road is going to disappear. If I only edit my bridges and thicken those roads, my bridges are going to be thicker than my other roads. So all we're doing now is trying to identify what piece of information we're looking at so we can edit it. So before I start actually editing things, how do we feel about the toggle inspect mode? I'm sorry, but why is it highlighting? Okay, so I'm going to turn it off. I'm hovering over my map regularly. Nothing's changing. I want to start editing the thickness of my roads, but I don't know which pieces of data to thicken. So there's a tool called the toggle inspect mode, which I'm going to turn on, and I'm going to hover over it. So yay, I'm glad you got it. So not only does it show me at the bottom what I'm looking at, but what happens when I click it? Look at my features on the left side. What did it just do? It selected it for me. Amazing. So if I just wanted to edit this piece of data, if I just wanted to edit what I see in green right now, I can just go into this one section that it selected for me, and I can style just this one piece. Do you guys see how at the top of my layers panel, now there's a purple style button? So if I just wanted to edit this one piece, I can click on style. I can change the color if I wanted to. Remember, we only want one color per layer. I would not start messing with colors because you think it looks pretty. It has nothing to do with how it will look. It has everything to do with how it will vectorize. So this is where I can change my line color. This is where I can change the opacity of my line. I personally do not change these much, if ever. What I am more concerned with is either how thick my line is for that piece of data or what the end of that line looks like. So if you wanted square edges, you would change it to square, and it will change how things are cut off at the end. If you want it to have a rounded look, you can change it to a rounded look. If I know I'm going to scale this way down into a 1-inch size heart, I'm probably going to want to thicken these roads. Now, before I start changing one feature at a time, remember what I said about even though our thick black lines look like one layer, one piece of data, it's multiple pieces of data. I probably don't want to edit these one at a time because then my roads are going to start looking kind of blotchy in certain areas. I want to edit them all at the same time. Did you know you could do that too? So I could either go in, select these one by one, or just select the pieces that I want. Or for the layer, so remember these 3 dots are specific to layer settings. If you're looking at features, these 3 dots are specific to what you can do with those features. So there's a difference between the layer you're looking at and the features that are loaded within that layer. Okay, so I'm going to click on the 3 dots for that layer, and I'm just going to click the first option, which again, if you highlight it, it tells you what it is. I want to select all the features within my layer. And did you notice my purple style button is still there? Sometimes you might have a bunch of different pieces of data, and if you select all, that purple style button won't be there, and that simply just means the pieces of data that are within that layer are different, and you cannot edit them all at the same time. In this case, because they are all road features, I can edit them at the same time, and that's why my purple style button is still there. All right, so I want to style all of these together. I'm going to keep my line color the same. I'm not going to mess with the opacity. All I want to do is thicken my roads. Just like our aspect ratios, you're going to have pre-selected options. It does not stop at 7. You can type in a number, or you can start just clicking the plus button. And do you see how all of my roads are now thickening up at the same time? That's what you want. So if you are trying to figure out how do I find pieces of data so I can edit them, the answer is your toggle inspect tool and your styling. So I'm going to go down to, I think someone said their sweet spot was 15. So I'm just going to keep this one at 15. And all I did was edit the features on my road cut layer. Now that I'm done styling this, I want to unselect everything because I'm not going to mess with it anymore, and I'm going to collapse it again. I'm going to hide this layer so I can look at what's happening underneath it. So remember, I'm looking at my engraved data that is going to be engraved onto my land. So for my land engraved data, maybe I want to thicken up the engraves a little bit and I can do the same thing. So it told me in my roads layer, I had 14 features loaded in there. For my land engraved data, it's just primary roads. It's only one thing. So I'm going to select this one data set, click style, and increase my line thickness just like we did before. So if I want my engraves to look a little bit thicker and not so light and dainty, I'm just going to thicken those up on my engraved layer as well. Okay, so keep in mind we do have I'm going to turn off toggle inspect. Keep in mind we do have a white border for our road engrave layer because we don't want our border to be connected to what we're engraving because then we can't separate it. We want it to be separated and we do not want to waste our time engraving this border because it's just going to get covered up by the layer on top of it. Okay, so I think I'm done editing this. I don't need to edit any of the features with my land or water. I'm going to bring this layer back so we can see them all together. And I think by the time I scale this down to about an inch, it'll be good. So I'm going to go ahead and click on Preview Export. We did get started about 6 minutes late, so I want to make sure I give you guys those minutes back. So if you're like, hey, Amanda, it's 11 o'clock and we're still going, I know. I just want to make sure you guys get the whole rundown. So I greatly appreciate your time. All right, so I am happy with the way all of these 3 layers look. I don't have to mess with anything in my layers tab. Because it is not a square or a rectangle, I cannot tile it. And now I'm ready to export it. So it's telling me a little summary of what's going to happen. It's going to vectorize each of these layers because vector was set to yes. Anything that I want cut has been set to outline. Keep in mind, you can, if you want to get fancy in your laser software and use an outline to score, you can do that as well. Oh, I haven't read it yet, but Ian just shared something about aspect ratio in the chat. But anything that says outline can be cut or score. Anything that says fill is where you're going to have engraved details. And all of our map files are set to export as SVGs so that they're nice and clean and you can scale them up and down to your heart's desire. When you click on export, it wants to confirm that you have looked at all of your layers and you're happy with it. So before I go ahead and click on export, one thing I want you to know is when I'm looking at these files, I am looking to make sure I only see one color on each of these tabs. If we used white for something like we did for this border, do you see how there's nothing there? Because white means no data. We use a color tracing technology to vectorize your files. So you only want to see one color on each of these thumbnails. That looks great to me. I think they look great individually. I think it looks amazing combined. Let's go ahead and export them. I confirm. I'm going to export. It's going to upload my map layers. I am, sometimes when I'm on Zoom, this did not happen on Facebook, but notice how it says, please keep the browser focused in this tab until the map layer upload process is complete. When I'm sharing my screen, it doesn't always work. So I might have to stop sharing my screen for this part to work. Surprise. Okay, let's just do it. Oh, I see more of your faces too. Hey guys, how you doing? Happy Friday. Hello, Brian, you have a visitor behind you. Okay, so I'm gonna stop sharing. Well, I stopped sharing my screen so I can upload these files, and then I'll show you what it looks like once I actually have the files exported. I do have everything ready in Lightburn, so Lightburn is gonna be lightning fast. All right, so tell me in the chat, who's gonna make something after this? I normally have a challenge. The last 3 workshops, I've been doing a challenge for everyone, and it's usually a challenge based off of the workshop. I didn't plan on one. But is anyone ready for a challenge? Does anyone want to create? So what are the challenges? So I was a teacher before. I was a middle school science teacher, so I love projects and challenges and extra credit. So what I've been doing is I challenge everyone to create something based off of the lesson from that day, and it typically takes 3 map layer exports to get them. So I tell everyone, if you want to participate in the challenge, create something based off of today's lesson. So today's lesson was styling using the toggle and spec tool. So let's do it. Let's make a challenge. Let's say that in the next, sometimes I give a day, sometimes it's 2 days. Last time I gave 5 days. All right, it's Friday. So let's say you have the weekend and maybe a day or two. Let's make Tuesday the 23rd the deadline. So what I would like you guys to do is to take part in this challenge. If you complete the challenge, I just let us know. You're going to do this in a couple ways. You're going to make your project for one. You're going to take a photo of it and you're going to share it in the Facebook group. And then if you share it in the Facebook group, that's great. That's how we know you did it. Then you're going to email us at support@maker.studio. I'm just going to type it right here. Support at, oh, it's all caps. I'm not yelling at you. Hold on. Support@maker.studio. Okay, so take a photo of your project, share it in our Layered Maps by Maker Studio Facebook group. Email us at support@maker.studio. Hey, I completed my challenge. And then I'll say, amazing, credits have been added back to your account. So even if you do end up using 3 map layer exports to create this, you're just going to get them right back just for completing the challenge. So do it, have fun, make a map. Oh, I should share my screen again because my layers have exported. I'm sorry, I got excited. What you want us to make, a specific shape, a specific line thickness. No, I just want you to create something and use the style tool. I don't like to give you too many, I don't want to say restrictions, but the whole goal is to just get you creating, play around with the style and toggle and spec tool, make something, take a photo of it, share it, be proud, and then just get your credit back so you can keep creating. Can we use maker.studio for things other than maps? Yes. Soon. So if anyone was here at the very, very beginning, I showed a quick screen of Maker Studio and the 2 new apps coming, and one of them is called Tumbler Maker, but we are also building more apps for you, and I can't spoil any surprises. I can't do that yet. But yes, we're gonna have more and more apps. It's gonna be a whole ecosystem for makers, so you can just go into the studio, get your files very quickly, and get to creating. That's it, Wayne. Just do it. Well, I actually hear Wayne is launching a website for his business today, which is a very big milestone. And if it doesn't happen today, that's okay. But I got a sneak peek and it is amazing. So congratulations. All right. So do you guys see my maps on the screen? I am sharing, right? Yes. Okay, great. So here are my exports. You can download them individually, or you can download the whole zipped file. I downloaded the whole zipped file, and you're going to see 2 options. You're going to see original and you're going to see output. You want the vector files that have been output. If you just click original, you're probably just going to get like a visual or a PNG of the project. It's not vector ready. Something may produce, but it won't be a vector. Okay, so I have completed my downloads. I'm going to open it, and because it was a zipped file, I need to extract it. So we clicked download zip, we chose output, we opened our folder, and now that the folder is open, we're going to extract it. I'm just going to put it in my downloads, but I'm also going to encourage you to keep your folders better organized than myself. But this is what your project file looks like. And when you open it, you'll notice each of these layers, each file, it starts with what your layer was named. So we have already preset those layer names for you, but whatever you name them to, you can change them, or if you build it from scratch, maybe it's something else. But you will be able to quickly see what each of those files are. So we are done in the studio. We are going to open up Lightburn. So you'll see I have a window here. This is with everything preloaded. I'm just going to open it and then I'll hide it. And I'll show you how I bring each of those files in one at a time. So because if you're familiar with Lightburn, if it's not a Lightburn file, you have to click import to bring them in. So I'm just going to bring them in one at a time. Oh, wrong project. So let's go to what I just downloaded, which is this one from today. And no items. No items, no bueno. Okay, so this is what we're gonna do. I'll show you how I bring them in with this is not the right project, but I'll show you. So I'm gonna click one. This was from the tiling workshop, if you can't tell. But this was file one. I'm gonna make sure it's grouped. This is file two. I'm gonna make sure it's grouped. And this is file three. I'm gonna make sure it's grouped. So these are the 3-layer exports that you guys were looking at. Now, we have 3 different colors we're seeing. So when we export files as a fill, it will be generated in black, and in Lightburn, we're gonna set it to fill. Anywhere that you had set to an outline, it's going to be red for cut, or you can score it if you'd like. Since this is not our actual file and I have everything preloaded for you, I'm going to delete it. I just wanted to show you what does it look like when you download the files, when you extract those files, and how do you bring them in one at a time. Did you export original or output? Always output. Output is vector, yes. Why would your file extension be web? It's trying to save something from the website. That's not a vector file. Is that in the studio you're getting WebP? Okay, so I have brought my heart layers in one at a time. So this is my land water cut, this is my land engrave, and these are my major roads cut. Do you guys see the 3 files? Does anyone have questions about the 3 files? I see yes, you understand. No, you don't have questions. Thank you, Dave. Okay, so I just brought these in. I'm going to hide that bottom one. I brought these in one at a time. This is exactly what it will look like when you bring it in. Red is for cut. Black is for engrave. What is my orange line? What is this? Some people think it's the border. It's not a border. Why is it there? It is there to be your helper tool. So what we need to do is we need to take our land engrave details. Yes, the orange is a tool. We want it to actually come in as this tool option, but you'll notice it's actually just an orange color, which is 5. So if you wanted to, you could change it to a tool and then just put it as no output. But I like to, I'll show you how I do it. So I'm going to take my engrave. If it's grouped, I should just be able to click the corner and snap it. So I clicked my top left corner so I can snap it to this top left corner. And now that I know my land engrave is perfectly on top of my cut, I can ungroup it all. Once I have things ungrouped, then I can go ahead and delete this outer line. So that's what I did here. I put them on top of each other. I deleted my alignment line. I just brought down my roads cut layer. And then remember earlier, I was like, where in the heck does the water layer come from? I'll show you later. This is the part where I show you. So this is actually my water layer. But all I did to get it was take this outer line. So let's ungroup it. Let's select this. Let's duplicate it. So I just kind of stole the outer shape. I'm going to group this all back together. So I just took the outer piece of this shape. If you were in the studio and you wanted to get this shape, you can just create a new layer and don't put any data on it. You can create a new layer with no data and it will match the shape of your map. And that is how you can get the solid base shape. I don't do that. I just take the outer shape from my exported files and I use the solid version as my water foundation. And it will also save you a layer export. You're welcome. Okay, so we don't need 2 of these solid hearts. We just need the 3. So remember earlier we were talking about aspect ratios. This is a heart, so it's a specific shape. It wasn't an aspect ratio, but look at what size it came in at. It's about 16.5 inches wide and almost 15 inches tall. I didn't want them that big. Look how big I actually want them. They're tiny. So I just selected each heart. I scaled it down. If all of your data is grouped and you have things aligned properly, so everything is set to the same top and bottom. So I could scale these all to, I don't know, 1.1 inches tall. And because this is locked, my scale is locked, it will give it the appropriate height. So you can edit your sizes one at a time, or as long as they're aligned, you can change one of the dimensions and it will scale it appropriately for you. Okay, so these are my final files, and all I have to do now is tell the laser what these settings are going to be. So you can see I already did that. And now all you have to do is set your cut and engrave settings, and you can start lasering. So I'm going to zoom out and we're going to do a quick recap from the file side of things. Step 1, bring each of your files in one at a time. Make sure they are grouped by layer before you start moving and aligning things. You want all of your bits and pieces to stay in the right spot, which is why it's important to just double check that they're grouped. 2, we stacked our land engraved details on top of our land cut. 3, we realized we didn't need that orange line, so we deleted it. But another thing you could do is you could keep the orange line there if you want, and you could just turn the output off. You could even turn show off so that you don't see it. But for me, I like to delete things I know I won't be using. That's just my method. You do whatever works for you. Next, we wanted to create our water foundation, so we copied the heart from our exported files. Then we scaled it to size. And last but not least, we just want to adjust our settings. And then, like magic, there it is. So here's our solid heart. That's our water foundation. The land water cut is made of Baltic birch in the center. And then my major roads layer, I used a 1/16 inch black acrylic. So I'm just gonna glue a little magnet to the back and these will be ready to go. I can gift them. I also thought, how do I personalize these? So maybe you could put a little veneer on the back and you can put your business name or a logo or the city that it represents. I do recommend for these smaller pins, maybe choosing thinner materials just so it's not so small yet bulky. But let's say you wanted to use a veneer sheet. You could always engrave a veneer sheet and you can actually wrap that veneer around the edge of the heart as well. You could paint the edges gold if you wanted to. There are so many things you can do to make these pieces special to you and your customer. But that is the full rundown. Today's workshop was a little longer, and I can see why we don't normally get into the nitty-gritty of the styling and the details because it does take a little bit longer. And when I do teach it, I also want to make sure that you guys understand it and I'm not losing you guys. So how are we feeling about using Layered Map Maker and feeling confident enough to adjust the thickness of roads if we needed to. That was really the gist of the workshop. For those of you who are brand new, you said you're a beginner, you've never made a map before, you can go into the project dashboard right now and you can start playing around. If you have a little hiccup, you can book a demo with me. Yay, I'm glad. Good now. Excellent. Yes. So another thing I want to show you, I want you guys to know you are free to leave. I love you. I hope you have a great weekend. But I am going to pull up the Facebook page because I want to show you where you can find a quick guide. Maybe just in case, let me open it over here because you never know what's going to pop up on Facebook. Okay, so let's open up Layered Maps by Maker Studio, bring it back. Okay, this is our Facebook group. And if you click on Files and you go to the most recent file, so this one is called the Layered Maps Basic City Map Template Guide. I'm just going to click on it. And there's a PDF attached to it. So let's open up this PDF. Okay, so if you guys want to download this so that it's easy for you to do a run through, you absolutely can. This is just the basics of using a basic city map template. Yay, amazing, Ian. Thank you so much. Thank you for the feedback. Yeah, Dave, no fires. You should be able to turn it on without one. All right, so if you want to know how did we start a new map? How did we refine our location? How did we generate our map files? And this keyword here, selecting output, if you don't remember which one, that is all in this guide for you. And then last but not least, you just prep your files and it talks about grouping and scaling. It does mention the outer alignment line. When I'm doing these demos, a lot of people were asking me about the orange line. Why does it look like a solid shape? It's going to fill. Is this part of the border? No, it is simply a tool for you guys to align your layers. It is not meant to be ran on your laser at all. Maybe you do end up finding it helpful and you turn it into a score line or something. I don't know. You do whatever you want with it, but it's not meant to be produced. You could just hide it. So I will be updating this quick reference guide as many times as I need to. We're constantly updating the software. So if anything changes, I will update this. But for now, this is all updated, it's accurate, and it is focusing on utilizing the basic city map template. And then the other fun thing I wanted to share about the Facebook group. So remember, if you take part in this challenge, you have until Tuesday, which I believe is the 23rd. And all you have to do is take a project photo, share it in here, and then email us that you have done it. Okay, I was like, why am I live? I thought Facebook didn't work. That's from last week. So my most favorite thing to do is look in the media because I see all of the projects that you guys are creating. I also see a lot of like, hey, this is what happened. What do I do here? So the community is super duper helpful. Yes, you can email us. Yes, you can send us a chat. Yes, you can book a one-on-one demo. But some people just like posting in the Facebook group so that they can get help from the community, or share some struggles that they have overcome. So the community is very helpful. It's full of inspirational things. You will see here that one of our audience members has actually just engraved a set of slate coasters. So we talk about making layered maps all the time, but there is no reason why you can't set up a single layer map and engrave a blank. You can engrave a cutting board. You can engrave whatever your heart desires. It can be one layer. It can be multiple layers. So when we did the tiling feature, someone here did coasters and someone here actually did slate coasters and someone did cork coasters. And it looks like they used their little X tool for it. But yeah, you can make it one layer, you can make it 20 layers. We also have topography available. So we just went over the basic city map template, but you can also do topography. So this is just talking about land, altitude, mountain ranges. And soon, I think they mentioned a date. I'm not going to share a date, but very soon, bathymetry is being released. It will start with our navigators. It will be by state, but bathymetry is just basically the complete opposite of this. It's just going to be the depths of water going down versus land and altitude building up. And that is all I have for you guys today. So I hope it was super helpful. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. And if anyone wants to stick around for a couple of questions, you can unmute yourself. You can put something in the chat. Thank you so much. I'm so glad you joined too. That was a very thorough run through. So as long as you are feeling clear and confident about it, that was my goal. Amazing. Yeah, it is Friday.